YouTube, salute. Thank God it's Friday. It's been a long week. I hope everybody's having a good day. I want to try to get to the beach this weekend with my wife. I don't know with this tropical storm, but I'm going to do my best. Um, if not, we'll go somewhere else. We always travel every weekend, we find somewhere to go. So, I want to talk about one of my addiction stories. Now, the way I started this, I kind of started in the one video where I talked about it, I kind of started with the beginning, the first major event that took place in my long saga of addiction. Um, Today I'm gonna kind of jump ahead, um, not quite to the end. The end was when I went to rehab and I met my wife. So this is one of the many things that happened in between, and probably the most serious life changing event that took place. So, in 2011, I lost my job. I had a really good job. I was making great money, great benefits. It was an excellent job, probably the best job I ever had. And I lost that job uh, through no fault of my own, believe it or not. And it was, pretty devastating to me at the time. It was the only income I had. I wasn't doing anything illegal. You know, for the most part, I was living clean. Um, and I took this badly, as I tend to do in life. If there's one thing I know how to do, it's take a bad situation and make it much, much worse than it ever had to be. That's kind of a universal drug addict trait that we all share. When big, events take place in my life, bad events, I tend to react to them in the worst way possible. So I lose my job, and my first thought, obviously was to get a new job. And I started looking, and I was having trouble. There was nothing comparable out there really that with my record and lack of education that I was able to really get. So I went back to my old, fail safe. I went out. I got a couple of pounds of weed, some lavender kush, and a couple ounces of coke. That was pretty much all the money I had. So I start hustling again. I'm back in the street, selling drugs every day. I started drinking a lot again, just from depression and from the stress and everything else. That was my excuse, anyway. Um, and I started getting heavy back into the coke. I mean, I was doing 3 grams, 4 grams a day easily, which made the drinking even worse. Because if you're doing that amount of fucking coke and you're not drinking, you're either gonna have a horrible experience or you're not gonna make it very long because your heart's gonna be out of fucking control all the time. Well, this went on for a couple of years. I did get a job at one point. I worked for a while. I think I was looking for every reason to quit that job just so I could stay in the street. It was a third shift job, and I knew where I wanted to be at night, and it wasn't at work. So, like I said, this went on and on. Towards, I'd say, the end of 2013, I started having real problems. I was I was starting to get weak, real weak. I mean, in my limbs, to the point where I could barely lift my arms some days. And I would get dizzy spells and everything else, but I started having trouble breathing, major trouble breathing, to the point where, it would drop me sometimes. I remember being at a flea market with my daughter, and I was carrying a box of something that we were either bringing to the flea market or something that we had bought. I don't remember exactly, but we were walking up a hill. It wasn't a big hill. And I mean, every 3 or 4 steps, I just had to stop. I couldn't breathe. It was terrible. This is not any shape I had ever been in before. Even when I was in my worst shape, I never had any kind of issue like this, and I knew something was wrong. It felt like there was concrete in my lungs. It was bad. But I ignored it, and I kept doing my same old bullshit, drinking, doing coke every day, every night, on and on. So we're into 2014 now. As we get towards the summer of 2014, this gets worse because it would come and it would go. It was very odd. Some days I seemed to be okay, but you know, as time went on, it started to become more and more frequent. So one day, I don't know how heavy I was going, how hard I was going that day with the coke and alcohol. It doesn't really matter. I just know that I had laid down and my breathing was, I mean, I couldn't breathe. It was to the point where I couldn't take a breath. And I called some friends from across the street on my block, and they called an ambulance. My mom came and met me at the hospital. They brought me in. They could not figure out what was going on. My blood pressure was sky high. It was, I don't remember the exact numbers, but 160 over 130 something, I believe. It was up there. And my heart was weak. They did tests. They did EKGs. Finally, they did an echocardiogram. They figured out that it was congestive heart failure. Okay. Now, mind you, I don't know, 34, 35 at the time. So now I got congestive heart failure. But when they did the echocardiogram, they saw that my heart was functioning at 10%. Now, I'm going to put a thumbnail up at the beginning of this video that shows part of the medical record from that time period and that hospital visit. There's something called your ejection fraction, which is basically, the strength your heart is pumping at, how much blood your heart is pumping back into your body. Now, the ordinary person's ejection fraction, a healthy person, would be between 55 and 65. 65 is perfect. Mine was 10 to 15. Now, you can Google this. It takes just a second, and you'll see that at 10 to 15, it means literally that you could die at any moment. Your heart is basically non-functioning, okay? You're at extreme risk for cardiac arrest at any given moment. So, at this point, they had no hope. They told me, and they told my mom, that she could call my daughter in and that they could both say goodbye to me. That they told me, one nurse grabbed my hand, I'll never forget this, and she told me that I wouldn't make it till midnight. Now, this pissed me off, actually, because I was like, why would a fucking nurse say something like this to a guy? At this point, all he's got is hope. You say that to him, and he's surely going to go. So, I guess she was just being honest. Didn't want to beat around the bush. But they offered to give me last rites. I wasn't interested. I turned down the priest. I just braced myself and I knew that this was it, and the haze, my mind was in. I guess I wasn't surprised, knowing how I had been living and how I'd been feeling, and something like this is going to happen. I'm telling you now. You can only do it for so long. You can't abuse yourself forever. And I learned that the hard way. So, like I said, they told me I wouldn't make it till midnight. I did. Obviously, I was in there for a total of 12 days. I was in critical condition. I was in the cardiac intensive care unit at one point. They did every test imaginable. There's basically nothing they could do. Now, me being the stubborn guy that I am, they started medicating me and things weren't getting any better, but I was starting to feel a little better. Now, I'm insisting, because in my mind, what strengthens the heart but exercise and walking? I'm insisting that they let me go out in the hallway and walk up and down the hallway every day for a little while. Of course, they're refusing to do this, and rightly so, because I couldn't, even if I tried. I remember one day the nurse took me out in the hallway with a walker and she let me walk back and forth. I made it 20 feet one way, maybe 10 feet the other way before it hit me that I just can't do this. So, I stayed as long as I could, but by the 12th day, I decided that's it. They're not doing anything for me. It's not getting better. I'm going to have to do something on my own. I don't know what was going through my head, but on the 12th day, against doctor's orders, I checked out of the hospital. I went home. Now, it was so bad. When your heart's that weak, it's hard for some people to imagine what that really does to you. But when your heart isn't circulating blood through your body the way it should, your body doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I remember the first time I tried to take a shower, I got in, but I just couldn't stand. I actually had to lay on the floor of the shower to wash myself. And that's how I had to do it. They put me on a ton of medication. I was probably taking 8 prescriptions a day, twice a day. And as I started to get a little stronger, I borrowed a cane from a neighbor whose son was, had been in Iraq and he had been injured. And she had this cane from when he was, in bad shape too. So she let me use the cane, and I would go outside on my block and I would walk as much as I could every day. And I just kept doing it until I was able to walk around the block. And then until I was able to walk around the block twice and then 3 times. And I would do that and do that and do that. And I started to feel better. And I was like, this has got to be it. My heart's got to be improving. It's got to be. So they bring me in about 2 months later and they do another echocardiogram. Now it's 15 to 20%, but still, that's, a guaranteed, chance of sudden death at any time, cardiac arrest at any time. Any minute could have been the last. So they basically came to the conclusion that the only thing I could do to ensure that I had any kind of time left was get a defibrillator implanted in my chest, and I have it right here. It's under my arm. It's subcutaneous, so it's not in my chest. It's under my skin. And I got that done in October, I believe, of 2014. Over the years, it started to improve little by little. And, there was one point, I believe in 2016, where I had gotten an echocardiogram and they told me that it was 50 to 55%. What good news that was. My doctor called me, she was ecstatic. Only to find out that the guy who read the echo didn't exactly know what he was doing. They redid it and it was actually only 30 to 35. So, this has been an ongoing thing, obviously. It always will be. It's never going away. Congestive heart failure doesn't get better. It doesn't go away. And, this is something I'm going to deal with for life, prescriptions and everything. I had a surgery in 2019. It was actually January 31st of 2019 because I developed another problem, which was these PVCs. They're called preventricular contractions. Preventricular contractions. I believe that's what it stands for. Anyway, that was making it worse. I mean, my heart's skipping beats, every other beat, to the point where they had to do a surgery there. They had to do a heart surgery. So for that surgery, they had to go in through my groin. They had to put cameras in there. They had to go into my heart, and they had to burn tissue around these areas that were causing these electrical pulses or impulses, whatever. I don't know the exact terminology. Anyway, after they did that, the doctor who I saw, the surgeon, I'm sorry, he was a specialist. He was a brilliant guy, and I'm finding out more and more every day now just how brilliant he was. He had told me that, these PVCs were probably a part of my problem my whole life, and they probably added to, the reason why I began having congestive heart failure and the troubles that I was having. After that surgery, it was like I had a new heart. Till this day, since that surgery, I feel amazing. I'm able to work. I do factory work. I work 8.5 hours a day, every day. Um, I'm able to do a lot that I wasn't able to do then. Now I'm still weak. There's days when I go in the morning, my blood pressure's low, and I can't function the way a person my age should be able to function. But it did wonders. It was a horrible surgery. I had to stay awake through it because they can't see the PVCs. If they put you on too much stuff, a general anesthesia, the PVCs will stop and they don't know where to burn tissue. So, but the surgery I feel saved my life. And the surgeon told me that he thinks um, that this will improve my ejection fraction and make my heart better. So I went back 3 months after the surgery, and my ejection fraction was 50 to 55. A year passed since then. I just got it done in, I think it was June 6th, and my ejection fraction is 50 to 55, which is a miracle. For it to go from 10 to 15% back up to almost normal is a miracle. It's unexplainable to a lot of people. My own doctors can't believe it. And that's where I'm at now. One of the reasons I'm happy and I don't let a lot of stuff get me down in life. I've been playing with the house's money for quite some time. So this is one of my stories, in between the beginning, which I told you, and the end, which I told you. There was a lot of stuff that happened in between, a lot of stuff. But this is a story I wanted to tell because this shows the damage that this stuff does and the damage you do to yourself. Now, that surgeon believes that a lot of this stuff might have been hereditary. My mother had a pacemaker since she was 28. But when you add massive amounts of cocaine to already bad genetics, you're asking for trouble. And that's what I did. So, like I said, here I am. My wife, talk about an angel. She met me when I was at my worst, rock bottom, when I had all these issues. I mean, she was a nurse. She would see the cup full of pills she would have to give me 2-3 times a day in that rehab. She saw my medical information. She knew what she was dealing with. She knew that she was getting some real baggage. And she did it anyway. She started a relationship and eventually married me. And that's what an angel she is. But anyway, I don't want to go on too long, guys. This probably bored the shit out of you. I hope not. A lot of people ask for stories. And this is the one I decided on. It's really important to me to tell these stories of addiction, especially since I've been getting a lot of these comments, a lot of guys that are struggling themselves. And, if I can help anyone, I'm glad to. Hit me in the comments. I'll give you whatever advice I can. You can call me, you can email me, you can text me, we can talk. If you ever need anything, any kind of help I can provide to help you with your own struggles. I know I'm nobody special, but I have my story. I've told you part of it. Hopefully it's a little bit inspiring. Like I said, 2 years clean and sober now, and I'm getting better. And for the first time ever, the doctors are telling me that I might actually live a normal life. And I haven't heard those words since 2014. So it's pretty amazing. And this is just part of it. I'm going to get to everything. But like I said, if there is anybody in the comments, anybody watching this video who needs any help, just somebody to talk to. Because I know as an addict, sometimes you alienate everybody around you, and all you might have is strangers. Please hit me up on my email, fatbalditallian fatbalditallian@gmail.com, or just leave a comment and we'll figure out a way to link up. Whether it's to talk, for advice, anything you might need. If it wasn't for the help I got, in that rehab, the time that I had away from my addiction, people, places, and things, and my amazing wife, I wouldn't be here today. As a matter of fact, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't even want to be here today. I think if the addiction didn't kill me, I would have killed myself. I can guarantee you that. So that's my story for today, guys. You know, I was going to go on to something else, something that was irritating me a little bit in the comments, but after telling that story, I don't really want any negativity at all. I don't want any negativity in this video, even coming from me. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. There's going to be a lot more of this stuff. There's going to be a lot more, you know, of everything. I got some more crime stories. I got plenty more addiction stories. And I'm going to do some shit talking still. You can guarantee that. I know some people don't like it, but listen, I got a problem with somebody. I don't like this guy. And you're going to hear about it from time to time. And I appreciate everybody's support, and I'm grateful for it. But, you know, if that's something you can't handle, this channel probably isn't for you. So thanks again, guys. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like it. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. I will be on Lee Cole III's show tonight. It'll be a little interview. Hopefully we'll talk more about some of this stuff and some other things. And I hope you guys check that out. It's tonight, 8 o'clock. It'll be live. I'll see you guys then. If not there, I'll see you in my next video. Salute.